All right, guys, welcome to the show. Today was special guest. You might remember from the XFL 2020 video with the Roughnecks versus the Dragons preview. It's experienced high school football coach. Someone I talk to a lot about football. Is an avid football fan, spring football fan, NFL, you name it. Andrew Albert, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy. It's a pleasure to be here and
Yeah.
excited for this podcast.
Yeah, that's great. It's a video. Understandable, I mean, it's all the same thing, who knows how we'll post this one. Maybe we'll post as a podcast. Yeah, unfortunately we couldn't do it in person because of scheduling conflict. But yeah. So first off, we haven't talked a ton about the USFL season. I know you didn't have a chance to watch as much, have your own coaching duties and stuff, but what was your overall impressions of the USFL this past season?
I liked the USFL a lot. I thought for the most part there was really good solid football played there. And I thought I was successful in terms of like getting guys to the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't really have the names in front of me here, but I know at least it wasn't the MVP of the USFL in the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, special teamer. So I think that's a really good avenue for guys who don't usually get the opportunity to go out and prove themselves. I thought it was good. I think the USFL definitely lacks sort of the pizzazz that the XFL and the energy the XFL has.
Yeah. And then
like definitely, I know you want to talk about this later, Tommy, but I see I look on the list of these coaches in the XFL, and it's very impressive names.
Yeah.
So I think that, along with like having The Rock as the commissioner too, like
that's that's what I was gonna say. I feel like The Rock gives it just some extra eyeballs because like even if people don't know spring football, they're gonna watch because The Rock's running this league, and like at least we're all intrigued to see what it looks like with him. I think one thing that hurt the USFL, which might have been smart from a financial standpoint, was not playing in any home markets except for Birmingham. Because even those fan base, they obviously aren't as big as NFL. Maybe in a couple of years, but for now, they're not the size the NFL fan bases. So I think, not being able to have those fans in the building and not get that home field advantage probably lost some of the juice for the USFL. One thing we talked about a lot in these spring football leagues, you in particular, was the line play. I know you kind of sometimes it's not the best. Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, just in particular?
Yeah, I think definitely if you look at like the team like the Stars who are able to do a lot of different things with their line towards the end of the year. I definitely think like teams that, I mean, this might be a pretty obvious statement, but like teams that are able to nail down I guess schemes and nail down communication up front are able to win big in the league. And I think that's what happens in USFL.
Right.
Yeah, I just think the brand of football has been pretty solid. And that's like kind of where all these other spring leagues fall off, is with line play, and you throw these guys together with like less than a few months to prepare, and like you get pretty sloppy play. But I think USFL was able to do that pretty successfully, and I guess we'll see what it's like in the XFL.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder too what it'll look like in the USFL with like obviously some guys won't come back, but some guys will probably come back to the same team. So like maybe there'll be some more of like, and maybe some of the coaches come back. I don't know.
When is that getting announced?
But it's a great question. I'm always checking the message boards and all, but I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so hopefully soon. The other thing, I don't want to take too much of our time. I know we'll do a little bit of film. We'll pick a couple. We'll get to that later. But first, you want to talk about the coaches. You want to pull the list up and share that with the audience?
Yeah, I have the list right here.
I'll pull it up. I don't have a great. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Sorry. All right. Oops, sorry, wrong tab. All right. Oops, sorry, wrong tab, actually. There we go. Okay. So this is the list I have. So we got Wade Phil. Let's go from the bottom because these are actually two of the biggest names. And Rod Hines Ward and Rod Woodson. I forgot about them. But yeah. So I mean, two huge former players. Not any coaching experience to my knowledge.
Like no, I don't think so. And
not at a high level.
I definitely should have done a better job, I guess, schooling that. I mean, but like, I'd love to talk about Wade Phillips first. I think Wade Phillips is a humongous name.
Was he a head coach? I mean,
he was the head coach for the Cowboys for a little bit.
That's right.
I feel like he has like interim head coach experience too.
Definitely a D coordinator. A lot of coordinator experience for sure.
His background is in defense. You know what? Actually, I'm looking right here. He was the interim head coach for the Texans most recently, and then he
That's
just served as
right.
defensive coordinator for a long time. Yeah,
Right.
that's his bread and butter. He had those guys playing hard. Players love playing for Wade Phillips. Uh,
Yeah.
there's a lot of nuggets because I remember Connor Barwin talking about because he played under Wade Phillips in Houston.
Oh, in Houston.
Yeah, I mean similar scheme to what they came back and ran with Chip Kelly and
Hmm.
in Philly in terms of like how they use their outside backers, but just said a lot of good things about Wade Phillips. Guys really liked him. So it's a great pickup for them.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, like this is also, I mean, Houston too. He's from Houston. It's a great fit for him. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that.
Yeah.
Our
For
Roughnecks.
sure. Yeah. There's not a ton of like I feel like people think spring football think of the offense, but the defense honestly comes along a lot faster for most of these teams.
Yeah.
Um, you
Well, I
know,
mean, it makes sense too. I feel like if you're, I
yeah. I
mean,
mean, that's any level of football. Yeah.
think about playing even like a public school type
Yeah.
football where like line play might be a solid defense is
Yeah.
easier because like
Takes,
there's a lot of
yeah.
create
Takes time
confusion up
to
front.
get that communication. But like if you can just rush the line communication, like the receiver, like if you can just rush the quarterback and like force turnovers, like you can pretty much. Bob
Right.
Stoops, I feel like I mean, he's a big Oklahoma guy. I feel like I mean, he's clearly pretty successful. I don't know how many like national titles they won in that time, but like he's a big name and like I feel like they ran a pretty big offense at the Big 12. So I feel like I think that's for the Renegades. He was in the league in 2020. I feel like that could be a
Yeah,
fun
he
offense.
was. He was with the Dallas Renegades in 2020. They got off to like a pretty shaky start.
Well, then
Uh,
Landry Jones got hurt too.
right.
He tore his
Yeah.
ACL or something in his knee in like week 4 or 5, I feel like.
Hey, but he had 17 years experience coaching in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Pretty solid record overall too, coaching Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Made an appearance in the college football. Had a couple teams in the college football playoffs.
Did he?
Got bounced
Oh, yeah.
immediately though. Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good award. I think he's going to do a pretty solid job
Yeah.
uh,
This is gonna be
there.
so
We'll see
exciting.
how he does.
Yeah. Any of these other names, we can go through some of them. I'm not too familiar with all these names. We can get to the former players. I think there's not much to talk about them, but Hines Ward and Rod Woodson, I mean, two guys who I think will at the least command respect in locker rooms, being so successful at the next level and like especially like this, like it's all about player development, I feel like is the because these guys for now at least ultimately want to go to the NFL. Who knows if that'll change, but maybe the XFL flips it. But like for now, all these guys want to go to the next level of the NFL. So maybe like two guys like this could really be good to to like get guys motivated, teach guys how to become pros. Because some of these guys have bounced around, but some of these guys I'm sure will come basically straight out of college and haven't played pro football. So I think that even
Right.
if the X's and O's aren't quite there, hopefully like the player development, like the mentorship that these guys can give, I think could be really special for the league and those teams and those players in
And I
particular.
think in terms of like their mission of being like a NFL preparatory
Yeah.
league, I think
Right.
too this is definitely attractive. I mean, these are pretty high profile
Yeah.
names. I mean,
Yeah.
limited coaching experience, I guess, with Rod Woodson. Hines Ward has a few years under his belt as a receivers coach for
Yeah.
FAU. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see. It's a good stepping stone even for those coaches too to come in and get head
Yeah.
coaching experience,
Right. That's
coaching
the
young
other thing.
men.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that for sure. Who are these guys coaching for?
You might have that list. The list I have, unfortunately, I didn't do enough prep on this one where they're coaching,
Mm,
but
damn.
yeah, it's unfortunate. But let's
San Antonio is for Hines Ward.
see Rod Woodson.
And then Vegas is for Rod Woodson.
Oh, that's right. Vegas Vipers. Yeah, that's fun. Kind of be a shame that Hines Ward didn't get a USFL job in Pittsburgh with the Maulers. That would have been fun.
That would have been really
That'd be a
cool.
big draw, actually. They would get a
Yeah,
lot more people to watch and like eyeballs on the team.
that would have really been cool. Also, I didn't realize Rod Woodson does have experience coaching with the Raiders. He was
As
an
what?
assistant coach there for 2 years, for 3 years rather.
Secondary coach?
I don't know. I just saw assistant
Uh,
coach,
all right, hold on. We'll go back to not
but
really.
he played under Jack Del Rio, so it's a pretty
Yeah.
good defensive mind. So I'm
I
sure
mean,
he
he's
knows.
also a great, yeah, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So
Let's see, coaching career. Career. He coached in high school. Oh, defensive backs. Yeah, not for a
makes
while, though, it
sense.
doesn't look like. No, for a little bit. And then 2015, 2017. Yeah. I mean, he's coached for 6 years as a D backs coach. It's exciting. I mean, it could be.
Sure. Yeah. Well, these guys, I mean, it's definitely a big step up from position coach to head coach. But
Yeah,
I mean, listen, he's been around the game and been around good leadership for a while. So
yeah,
I'm
uh,
excited. I think these guys are set up well for success.
yeah. We'll get to one last bit of business, I guess. So these are my quarterback rankings. I know there are other quarterbacks in the XFL. I know. These were the first 15 who were assigned and not drafted. Um, these are my preliminary rankings. You know, it's a challenge if some of these guys are here because they don't have a lot of film. So like you're dealing with you're dealing with some scouting reports, you're dealing with just quick YouTube. We can go through we don't have to watch all these guys. I don't think we have the time, but any names on here that jump out to you that you want to watch,
Um,
we can look at.
yeah, I think the first one I kind of want to talk about is I'm very interested to see Anthony Russo in
Yeah.
professional football.
Yeah. So talk about that. I'll pull up some of his highlights maybe.
I mean, I just remember when Anthony Russo stepped on as a starting quarterback at Temple back in 2018. It was midway through the year. They just benched Frank Newtile, or Frankie Juice, as some people like to call him. Um, so, and he was the guy who won the bowl game. Russo steps in, like I think as a true freshman and plays well. But he kind of had a shaky tenure at Temple.
Yeah.
Up and down, a lot of leadership questions with him. You know, he's a guy who has all the physical attributes to play quarterback and make really impressive plays, but
Yeah.
just never seemed to really settle in mentally with his
Yeah.
leadership or with his I guess being cautious of
Yeah.
turnovers.
Right.
He
Yeah.
uh he made a lot of silly mistakes, and I feel like he tried to play a lot of hero ball just from my
Yeah.
time watching him. I don't think when he transferred to Michigan State, he ever really saw the field.
Not much. I looked at the stats. And then he had stats, but like it's garbage time. It looks like he has like 10 passes or something at Michigan State.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
He's a good he's a playmaker for sure, but I feel like
yeah,
just like
I actually really disagree. I mean, I think I agree with a lot of what you said. I think he's got a solid because he's got a lot of the physical tools. I think obviously he's a big guy. He moves okay in the pocket, but like he doesn't have a great deep ball. He's not crazy accurate. I don't think he's super mobile, which especially in the USF or XFL or any of these spring leagues, like if the line play, like even that, he made some good balls. Like I'm not saying he's inaccurate, but he just doesn't have like I don't see him driving the ball down the sideline very much where I'm like, man, that was a great throw. Like everything I see is like, oh, that was pretty good. Like these are some nice balls here. That's a good ball.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
it's going to be interested to see what he now. What team is he playing for?
San Antonio he's on.
Okay, gotcha.
So like they haven't, yeah, they were I can check. They had a pretty boring quarterback room. Like not bad. Yeah, they were my seventh room. The other guy is Jawan Pass.
Okay.
He started at Louisville, the guy. We don't have to go through all these, but yeah, like Russo could lose the starting job there. It wouldn't shock me.
No, I feel like that's definitely more of a competition situation.
It's definitely a competition because the other guy, Jawan Pass, we won't watch his highlights, but like pretty mobile, like made a lot of running plays, like big time talent, like really, really good physical talent. Seems to lack a little bit of polish. Transfer from Louisville. I couldn't figure out why. Like he was pretty good at Louisville and he just left and was starting. So like, I don't know. I'm not gonna I couldn't I did a couple searches, asked around, couldn't find anything. But yeah, there's one guy. I want to see if we can find his highlights. We'll do one of mine quickly. We'll do maybe one more after this. Because I mean, a lot of these guys, I mean, everyone knows I'm a big Ben DiNucci fan, so I'm not gonna. I mean, we can agree he's probably gonna win
Is
this.
he the unquestioned starter in Seattle?
Well, that's another thing. We can go. Let me go through that one next. I want to show you this guy. I'm trying to find a good. This might not be the best. This guy's Eric Dungy. He went to Syracuse. Just a really big, fast, physical dude. These aren't the best highlights. I mean, he's got a good arm, but like he can run really well. Let me see. I have his running stats here, I think. He's got a 4.640.
Oh wow,
And how many rushing yards did he have? I thought I wrote it down. Yeah, 750 rushing yards as a senior in the ACC.
wow.
Like pretty solid. I think he's like there's not a ton of film on him. I couldn't find him playing much. Maybe a little spring ball, but not a ton. He was in the XFL, but I think actually like this is real. I think his dad passed away while he like, joined the league late, and his dad passed away, and then COVID obviously. So I don't think he like ever got a rhythm going. But like I mean I just want to talk about him. We'll keep an eye on him. He's on the Defenders. I think he's really exciting. And then next we'll do the guy we were talking about him the other day. Let me find how to spell it. Stephen Monetz. or Steven Montez.
Steven Montez.
Yeah, let's see. Let's just see. Yeah, he played. Let's see. We'll go to the NFL for this guy. There's a couple of guys with preseason experience too. Drew Plitt was one for the Renegades. Yeah, this
Well,
is
I mean, there's also guys with starting experience.
sure. We
AJ
can, yeah. I mean,
McCarron
we can
started a
talk.
playoff game.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about that. I think I'm trying to hit the guys that guys or fans might not hear about as much. I think everyone knows who AJ McCarron is. Like, if you've been
Sure.
following football at all. Yeah, this is him in the preseason against the Pats. Pretty mobile, pretty good athlete. Another fast 40 guy. Didn't have like great stats. It wasn't great at winning in college, but like, I mean, he's pretty fast and strong and a good big arm. Like, I feel like that guy can be successful.
Yeah, it's enough to at
And,
least
and he's been on the he was on the
fly
active
around.
roster for a couple weeks. And I mean, he's holding his own in the NFL. We're it's the preseason, but still, like,
It's a pretty impressive throw.
yeah, yeah, he makes some good throws. Like, that's I mean, like there's like I mean, I don't think know if he's an NFL guy, but he can make NFL throws and seems to have good zip on the ball. Like, and he's pretty athletic. Like, that's the only thing. I think truthfully, they should try to trade one of those guys. I think DiNucci's clearly the better player, but like
Wow, good, decent speed too.
he's pretty fast, actually. He's actually
Yeah.
pretty fast. He's not super accurate. Like he can drive the ball and can make good throws, but he's not super consistent with like his
Yeah,
ball
I mean,
movement.
I'm definitely seeing all these throws here. This dude breaking out of the pocket here and making
Yeah.
plays with his legs.
And like the ones that aren't are like slants. And like it's
Yeah.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like you kind of need
Well,
guys.
listen, in the XFL, I
Yeah.
mean, with a guy with athleticism, you could definitely win with that for sure.
Yeah. I think
Nice job staying in the pocket there.
I think the DiNucci thing will be interesting because DiNucci is also really fast, has some NFL experience, more NFL starting experience. We can debate how good that was, but he was a winner in college. Like I think if they don't start him, whatever they don't start, they should probably trade, truthfully. And maybe there's been more reassignment. Again, I don't know. I'm not reading every XFL post. It's not my job.
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to sponsor me in this channel. I do this out of the goodness of my heart. So yeah, we can just go through. I mean, we're not gonna do full rosters because I want to wait till I think after the NFL season too, like there'll be guys who like sign with the XFL like once their regular seasons end.
What are some of the other quarterbacks that are in the league now after this list?
So after these, I forget. No one that big that I saw. Truthfully, there's a couple of guys like Brian Scott. I think was on. He joined the team.
That's right, former Philadelphia Star.
Former star. Who I like, and people seem to like him a lot in the spring football world. I mean, I don't think there's no one who was bad. There's just other guys who like no one who I think I could be wrong is going to break into my top 5. That would change it right now. Like I'm sure there's guys like DeAndre Francois. People might know this guy.
He was in the XFL, wasn't he?
He was in the fan controlled football. He was really good at Florida State. He had like 30 touchdowns as a freshman.
That's right. Yeah.
Brandon Silver's former XFL guy.
That's right. Former Dragon, right?
Yeah. Got benched for BJ Daniels. Yeah, like Drew Plitt, I think he's pretty good. Kyle Sloter, former USFL. He was the USFL passing leader this past year for the New Orleans Breakers. Yeah, I think the top half of this quarterback league is pretty good. I'm sure they'll get some guys after the regular season ends who are just like, I want to play more. Yeah. So any bold predictions about or any predictions about the UXFL? I know we don't have the full rosters. I know you don't know all the quarterbacks, but any predictions about any guys in this list who you think are going to pop or struggle or what?
I think we'll be discussing a league MVP that is not named Ben DiNucci or AJ McCarron. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think I mean just go back to the former XFL. No one was really talking about PJ Walker.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. And
I
also,
think,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be somebody with maybe like a Montez or Monetz who has NFL experience and has athleticism. I think that's a guy who could really shine in this league.
Yeah.
Don't really know much about other guys besides Russo.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really think Anthony Russo is going to succeed in this league. I'm pretty sure the books
I think he'll be
on
fine.
him.
If the team's around him, he'll be fine. Like he's not going to screw the game up probably a ton, but he's not going to win you much. I don't think is my opinion. Like you put him in the right system, he'll be fine. But like,
Yeah, I just don't think he wants to ever play within a system.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, he might think he's too
He
good
doesn't
for.
he doesn't really
Yeah,
seem like a guy who's going to do that to me. But
yeah. You never know.
if
Yeah,
Anthony Russo wants to come in on the podcast and talk about it,
yeah. Again, it's a video, but
yeah,
all right. Well, let me just stop this. Andrew, thank you so much for your time. You might have some news regards to coaching. We won't break that here. Um,
yeah, I'm not at liberty right now
yeah,
legally to
yeah,
not
and
say anything.
we've got some other opportunities with Andrew joining our team. Again, I was in Seattle this summer talking to companies like Microsoft, Amazon. Really working on getting this thing going. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell button, leave in the comments what you think of our predictions, and we'll see you next week.